power station. I don't know whether you're aware, I said as we walked down the road in the complete opposite direction from Alad's house. But this is not the way to Alad's house. You're so amazingly intelligent, Daniel said. Did you get 4 A's? Yep. Did you? Yep. Nice. Then I shook my head. So where are we going? I'm not exactly dressed to go out. Daniel was walking a couple of steps ahead. He spun around and then started walking backward, looking at me, his face brought out the dark by the street lamps. We thought we'd camp in the field, he said. Isn't that illegal? Is that illegal? Probably not. Oh, you're breaking a rule. I'm so proud. He just turned away from me. Hilarious. I haven't seen you and Alad hanging out much this summer, I said. He didn't look at me. So, I didn't know. Have you been on holiday? He laughed. I wish. You said you hadn't seen much. When did I say that? I was getting that sense I was venturing into the awkward territory. You know, before my history exam, you come to talk to me? Oh no, we've just been busy. I work like 5 days a week at Frankie and Benny's in town. And, you know, he's not very good at replying to texts. He always replied to my texts, but I didn't say that to Daniel. How do you two get so close anyway? He said with a frown. I rescued him from the club, I said. And Daniel didn't say anything. He looked away and stuffed his hand into his pocket. The sky wasn't quite black yet. It was still sort of dark blue and hazy, but you could see the moon and a few stars, which was nice, I guess. We climbed over to the stile and into the empty field next to the village, and I was struck by how quiet it was. There wasn't any wind and cars and anything. I felt like I hadn't been anywhere so quiet my whole life, even though I lived here in the countryside since I was born. In a patch of dry earth in the middle of one of the field was a small campfire, and next was a large tent, and next to that was Alad, last, his whole body glowing gold from the fire. He was wearing his actual school uniform, which fitted him, because he worn it within the past 2 months. But it still looked sort of odd on him, probably because I was used to seeing him dressed in an interestingly colored shorts and oversized knitwear. How was the 18? How could anyone I knew possibly be 18 years old? I ran past Daniel, and his ankle swingers ran through the grass and fell on top of Alad. An hour later, and we were 3/4 of the way through a bottle of vodka, which did not bode well for me. Alcohol just makes me fall asleep. Alad had opened his present. It was a radio shaped like a skyscraper. The windows lit up in time with the audio that was playing. He told me that it was the best thing that he'd ever seen in his whole life, which probably was a lie, but I was glad he liked it. It was battery operated, so we put Radio 1 in the background, and there was some kind of electronic themed show going on. Lots of mellow synth and low bass. The lights of town and the power station flickered in the distance. Daniel took one look at it and then said, Jesus fucking Christ, you know about university, don't you? Drunk Daniel was only more sarcastic and more sweary and more patronizing than sober Daniel, but somehow that made it easier to laugh at him rather than to punch him in the face. Yeah, Alad said, don't me. I can see straight through you both. Daniel threw his head back and laughed. Well, it was only a matter of time before someone worked it out. He leaned toward me. How long you been listening? Were you then when I used to play the bass in the gym? I laughed. You played bass? Not anymore. Alad interrupted before I could say anything else. For the last hour and a half, he'd been setting a stick alight and making shapes with fire in the air like a sparkler. She's a new artist. Daniel frowned. Artist. Yeah, she made GIF for the last week's episode. Oh. Daniel's voice is quieted a little. I haven't listened to last week's yet. Alec grinned. You're such a fake fan. Shut up, I'm obviously a fan. Fake fan. It was the first person to ever subscribe. Fake fan. Daniel chuckled. A handful of dirt and Alec, and Alec laughed and rolled over to avoid it. This whole evening was silly. I didn't really understand why we were hanging out. Alec wasn't even in my year group. He didn't go to my school. Daniel didn't even like me. He was sort of a friendship group. It was 2 boys and 1 girl. Daniel and Alec started talking about their results. I'm just really revealed, Daniel was saying. Like, getting into a good uni to do biology, I've wanted it for 6 years. I'd hate myself if I messed up now. I'm really pleased for you, said Alec, who was lying on his side and still poking a stick into the fire. You must be really pleased for you, though. Haha. Yeah, I don't know, said Alec, which I didn't really get. Why wouldn't he be pleased about his results? It's good. I just don't think I care about anything that much. You care about university, I said. Alec glanced at me. Oh, yeah, okay, that's true. I could feel myself getting tired and my eyes shutting, Carrie popping in my head. We'd gotten drunk like this the same day 2 years ago. Results night at that party, that had been a bad night. When I was going to bring up Carrie's up with Alec. Well, I saw a lot of people crying about their grades this morning, so I think you should be celebrating, said Daniel. He passed the vodka and Coke bottles to Alec. Drink up, birthday boy. I knew I'd reach the next level of drunk soon, where I'd say stuff I regret later. Maybe I'll fall asleep before then, but maybe I won't. I ripped some grass out of the ground and started scattering it into the fire. Kanye wouldn't have liked it. We were in a field, and then we weren't, and then we were again. Somehow I acquired a blanket, and Alec and I were singing along to Conway West. Alec knew the full rap, but I didn't, so he gave a dramatic performance in front of the stars. It was warm, and the sky was lovely. Kanye wouldn't have liked it. We were in a tent, and Daniel had fallen asleep after throwing up in the barn bowls and staggering back to us with a giant scratch on all up in one arm. And Alec is saying, oh, on one hand, I'm thinking, yeah, this worked. Alec is saying, on the one hand, I think, yeah, this work is important. It's really important, but I get the grades and get accepted. But on the other hand, my brain is just I don't know. I just don't care. It'll all be all right in the end or something. So it's getting to the point where I just don't do any work if I don't have to. I don't really do the things I have to do, but I just don't care. I don't know. This doesn't make any sense for some reason. I keep nodding and smiling and saying, yeah. I'm asking Alec who's February Friday, but he's saying, I can't tell you. And I'm saying, but we're friends. And he's saying, that's irrelevant. And are you in love with them? Like the fandom says. He laughs and doesn't answer. We were standing in the middle of the field, seeing who can scream the loudest. We're taking blurry nighttime photos and tweeting them to each other, and I'm wondering whether this is a good idea, even though I know no one would be able to make out our faces, but somehow struggling to do anything about it. Right, University, Toulouse candid. Blurred photo of her with a double chin. Toulouse at Toulouse at University Radio revealed blurry photos of Alad's shoes. We're lying in the grass. I say, I think I can hear a fox. Alad says, the voices in my head. His radio voice. I say, how are you not cold? Alad says, I stopped feeling anything ages ago. We're lying in the tent. I say, I used to get these really bad nightmares called terrors, where you wake up and you still think you're in a nightmare. Alad says, every night I get chest pain. I'm convinced I'm gonna die. I say, you're not supposed to get them once you're a teenager. Alad says, chest pain or night terrors. When we've been trying to record an episode of University for the past 10 minutes, but all that's happened so far is Alad and I have been played a game of tag, resulting in me falling on him again by accident this time. I spent a good few minutes pretending to be a character I made on the spot and called Toulouse, like my internet identity. And now all three of us are playing Never Have I Ever. Never have I ever, Alad taps on his chin. Never have I ever fainted, farted, and blamed someone else. Daniel groans, and I laugh, and both of us take a swig of our drinks. You haven't done that? I ask Alad. No, I'm not that shameless. I take responsibility for my actions. Fine, never have I ever. I looked bad. Between the pair, broken curfew. Daniel laughs and says, you're a lame, and takes a drink, but Alad shoots him and says, I'm lame as well then. And Daniel immediately looks guilty. Never have I ever. Daniel taps his bottle and said, I love you, and didn't mean it. I make a long ooh sound. Alad raises his cup as if he's going to take a drink, but then seemingly changes his mind and rubs his eye instead. Or maybe he just needs to rub it in the first place. Neither of us drink. Okay, never have I ever. Alad pauses, and then his look is out of her. Never have I ever wanted to go to university. Daniel laughs for a moment, and then Daniel laughs like Alad, probably joking. And then Alad laughs and probably joking too. But I don't want to do, because it doesn't feel like Alad is joking at all. I doze off not for long after that in the tent, and then wake up to find Daniel sleeping next to me, but Alad nowhere. And I stumble out of the tent to see him walking in circles. Grab in the grass, his phone closely to his mouth, mumbling things I can't quite hear properly. I wandered over to Tim, ask what you were saying, and he looks up. His whole body flinches and says, Jesus Christ, I didn't hear you coming. And then both of us forget what we were talking about. Daniel wakes up to see nothing left with us. Then the visuals are just blurry shapes of us running around the landscapes in the dark, flashes of eyes, flashes of skin. We post an episode to YouTube before we change our minds. Daniel and I lie next to each other and says, one day when I was 5, some girl made fun of my real name, like all day. She was just running around the playground screaming, Das, day song, day song, day song, day song. Got a stupid name. And a really silly voice. And it made me so upset. I was crying. And my teacher had to call my mom, and I was still crying when my mom came to pick me up. My mom, honestly, the sweetest lady in the world. And she took me home and said to me, how about we give you a real English name, huh? We lived in England now, and we were an English boy, which made me really happy at the time. And she told my school to change my name in the register to Daniel. And that was that. I nodded at him. Do you wish people called you Jason? Yeah, I know my mom had good intentions, but Daniel feels like a lie. I might change it back once I get to university. I wish I had an Ethiopian name sometimes. I say, or just an East African name. I wish I was closer to my ethnicity in general, really. Daniel rolls his head towards me. What about your parents? Aren't they? My mom's wife. My mom's white, my dad's Ethiopian. But he and my mom got divorced when I was 4, and he lives in Scotland now with his own family. We still talk on the phone fairly often, but I only see him a few times a year. I hardly ever seen my grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins from that side of the family. I wish I felt closer to them sometimes. I feel like I'm the only black person I know. Like, my dad's surname is Menchisa. I wish I was Francis Menchija. Francis Menchija sounds really good. I know, right? Your initials would be FM, like FM radio. I can still hear the fox. It sounds like someone being brutally murdered. Ellie lies down next to the fire and closes his eyes. Daniel rolls over and kneels up and puts his hand flat on the grass. Rolls over and kneels up, and he puts his hand flat on the grass on each side of Alad's face and leans over, and Alad opens his eye but can't keep up eye contact. His eyes scrunch up and as he laughs and rolls over, pushing Daniel away. I got to go investigate the fox I heard toward the National Trust footpath through the woods. And you'd think I'd be scared of something in the dark in the woods, but I'm not. I almost make it there when a person starts walking toward me. And when I get scared, and that's when I get scared. Shit scared. I nearly fall over and turn and run, but then I shine my flashlight on the person, and it's legitimately Carrie Last, walking around the dark in the middle of the night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. No, wait, it's not her. It's just a dream. Wait, am I asleep now? Not him. Carrie Last. It's me. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jesus. But she looks like she's walking out of heaven itself. Or maybe it's just the phone light shining on her skin and her platinum hair. I wasn't dreaming. This did happen 2 years ago on results night. We'd been at a party house. She wandered off into the woods. Why am I remembering this now? Are you like a were fox? I asked. No, it's just like wildlife, she said, at night. You shouldn't walk around the dark. Neither should you. Well, you shouldn't walk around the dark at night. Neither should you. Well, you got me. Well, you got me. Well, shit, you got me there. Maybe nothing was happening. We'd been drinking, me especially, and we had a lot of house parties before this. I was getting used to the way people would just pass out one by one or throw up in plant pots. I was getting used to the group of boys who would always sit in the garden and smoke weed because, well, I don't really know why they did it. I was getting used to the way people got off with each other without a second thought, even if it made me feel disgusting to even watch it happen. We walked back to the party together. It was 2, maybe 3 in the morning. We walked through the garden gate and past some bodies in the grass. She was quiet that day, quiet and sad. When we sat on the sofa in the den, I was so dark inside we could barely see each other. What's wrong? I said. Nothing, she said. I didn't push it, but after a moment she continued. I'm jealous of you, said Carrie. What? Why? How do you just slide through life like that? Friends, school, family, she shook her head. How do you just slide through it all without effing it up? I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. You've got so much more power than you think you do, she said, but you just waste it. You just do whatever you want. You just do whatever anyone else says. I still don't know what she's talking about, so I just said, you're weird for 15. Huh, you sound like an adult. I frowned. You're the one being patronizing as hell. You got sweary when you're drunk. I'm always sweary inside my head. Everyone's different inside their head. Suddenly, we're by the fire. Alex is asleep next to Daniel in the tent. And time keeps skipping. How did we get here? Is Carrie actually here? And the cold light of fire, she looks dynamic. Why are we like this? I ask her. She has a drink in her hand. Where did that come from? This isn't really happening. This didn't really happen. I just want someone to listen to me. I don't remember when she left or anything else. She stood apart from 2 minutes later when she stood and said, nobody listens to me.